The Sega Master System was first released in October of 1985 in Japan and would later be released in North American and European shores the following 2 years. Now, the Master System saw some moderate success in Japan, and overall there were 16 games that were released exclusively in Japan. Today, we are looking at 10 of them that never came to the other regions. And hey, if this is your first time on the channel, or if you just haven't yet, make sure you hit that sub button to see plenty of other Master System content. But as a warning for this video, I'm telling you right now, I will probably be mispronouncing some Japanese titles. So be sure to let me know how to pronounce them in the comments below. Politely. So here we go, 10 Master System Japanese exclusives. Megumi Rescue. Megumi Rescue lets you control a rescue party of 3 to save people from a burning building. The group consists of 2 people holding a jumping sheet and a 3rd firefighter bouncing on the sheet to reach the buildings. The sheet can be moved left and right, and the jumper can enter a square with an open smashed window for a few seconds. If there are any inhabitants in the room, the jumper will take 1 person with him, which will be rescued on reaching the sheet. The goal of each stage is to either rescue everyone from the building or put out the fire completely. You lose a life if the jumper hits the ground or if his health is depleted. The latter happens when the fire spreads further into the building. And if the fire reaches a room with the inhabitants, one will panic and jump out of the window and needs to be caught with the sheet. Otherwise, this person falls to their death. Several items will help you. A fire extinguisher refreshes your health, and a key will end the stage with success. A helicopter summons a flying ambulance, and if the jumper holds onto it, the level is completed immediately, and a bonus stage will be accessed. Super Racing is a Formula 1 racing game. There are 2 main game modes. After selecting the main mode, the player must choose a constructor. There are 6 different constructors, all based on the real ones. Each constructor has 2 drivers with names all resembling real drivers. But the player character can be named any way the player wants. After choosing one constructor, the player must then choose a class. You can select Practice, Beginner, Average, or Expert. Practice class will enable the player to choose any of the 18 circuits available, and the other 3 classes will present a fixed selection of courses to be raced, with varying difficulty and number of laps per race. For each race, players can select a different type of car. There's high-speed ones or more technical ones. This will affect the car handling and the top speed. Before each race, a practice lap must be played to determine the player's starting position. This game is played from a top-down perspective. The car moves only in the vertical direction, and cars can take damage, and the fuel supply is limited. Pit stops are required to fix any car damage and to refuel. Tensai Bakuban is based on the manga of the same name. The player takes the role of Bakuban's father, going on a journey to search for his missing boys. The player talks with various characters, occasionally fighting some of them, obtaining items, and uses yen to make purchases. When the player leaves town, there will be platform levels to navigate. Hoshiwu Saga Sheet, which roughly translates to the story of Mio. The story of Mio begins as you, finally having gone on a holiday, arrive on the planet Ilm to see your sweetheart Layla again. Before going to her house, you decide to buy a present for her. You visit a shady foreign man's shop and buy an egg that he promises will hatch a cute pet. When Layla sees the egg, she recognizes it as a Mio egg. Mios are a rare animal that is thought to be going extinct. Since you gave her the egg, it is now your responsibility to find out how you can keep a Mio. Still, the fact that you have a Mio egg should not be known to everyone, since scientists will be very keen to take the animal away from you to study. Your quest will take you across several planets, which interestingly enough are not too far away from the planet system of Phantasy Star. During the gameplay, you can talk to people in the game by deciding whom to talk to and selecting a topic. Finding out things is often a matter of repeatedly asking at the right moment, or the right order. Galactic Protector. As a ship that looks just like one of the ones in the Fantasy Zone series, you must protect 3 planets from floating space debris by using your built-in laser shots to destroy them. If you fail to shoot at them quickly, the debris will eventually come into contact with the planets. If this happens, 10% of the planet's life will then be lost. Once you have destroyed enough debris, you receive a bonus for how much planet life remains and move on to the next round. Later in the game, you will receive a 3-way shot as well as protection that will greatly help you in further rounds. The game ends when you lose all your lives or the planet blows up. Galactic Protector has 25 rounds. Alex Kidd BMX Trial. As young Alex, your job is to go through an obstacle course and get to the main exit without the other competitors trying to push you off your bike. You start out in the Blackwood Forest, but depending on which scene you're in, you can travel to the Cactus Desert, South Seas, Pyramid River, or Alex's home. More often than not, you must jump over water, and along the way, you can get power-ups such as more energy, more time, and jets that let you fly through the scene. But to get these power-ups, you're gonna have to perform a wheelie. The game ends when you have no energy left. Now, Alex Kidd was one of the Master System mascots, and I'm kind of surprised to see that this Alex Kidd game was never released outside of Japan. The Pro Yaku Pennant Race. Ever played the game Great Baseball? If you have, then you'll be familiar with the work of the developers who created the Pro Yaku Pennant Race. As a spiritual successor to Great Baseball, this game is a typical late 80s baseball game. Just pick out one of the fictional teams and beat your opponent. Game modes include 1-player, 2-player, and a pennant mode, which makes you play the whole season. One thing that's cool is that the player can actually edit stats of the teams. There's also the option to watch 2 CPU-controlled teams play each other. But a noticeable feature is the lack of smooth scrolling, so the screen switches every time the ball reaches the edge of the screen. Suki Band Deca 2 Shoujo Tekimen Densetsu. Boy, that was a fun one to say. This is based on the manga and TV series of the same name. The delinquent schoolgirl Saki Asamiya is working with the Japanese National Police Agency. She seeks to bring down the Blue Wolf Society, recruit convicted schoolgirls to protect various school premises, and uncover the mystery behind the stolen Iron Mask. The player will navigate through a number of verbal actions and menus, and sometimes use a cursor on the screen pointed at a specific object to perform an action. In certain situations, Saki will engage in combat using her metal yo-yo to beat regular enemies and bosses. Some locations require the player to navigate maze-like corridors and passages in the first-person view. High School Kimengumi. This is, well, you guessed it, based on the anime of the same name. The player controls Kawayu to navigate around Kimigumi School, which you will be collecting items, solving puzzles to progress, all while rounding up 5 troubled students. The game ends with a score, and that depends on how many of the boys have been caught and sent to the staff room. Kawa must not get overwhelmed by any of the students or otherwise face punishment from the headmaster. Comical Machine Gun Joe. Comical Machine Gun Joe is a simple, arcade-type shoot-'em-up. You control a gunslinger called Joe on a single static screen, and you need to shoot the baddies until a boss appears. Once the boss is shot, the game will switch to another screen. Apart from shooting, Joe can also jump very high, which is often needed to reach enemies in higher places. Once in a while, a spider will appear, which for some reason reflects both your and your foe's shots. There is also pigs that appear frequently, which give away items like a smart bomb when shot at. Another odd feature is that the enemies that you hit will shrink and then walk off to the lower end of the screen. If they come into contact with Joe, they will cling to him. This slows him down and constrains his ability to jump, but the enemies will also serve as a bullet shield. Like many early arcade games, this game has no ending. After several screens, the game simply starts over at the first location. So there you have it, 10 Master System games that were released exclusively in Japan. Which ones did you wish hit your shores, or which ones do you want to play now? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're there, make sure you comment on how poorly I pronounced all these titles. And if you haven't yet, of course, sub to my channel to watch plenty of video game countdowns and much more Sega Master System content. Thanks for watching.